Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It is time to have a look at another devlog for WarThunder, and it is the first vehicle that wasn't in the leak lists, which is fantastic. We have the Sovetsky Soyuz. This is going to be a Soviet battleship coming in at rank 7 for the USSR Blue Water Fleet tech tree. It's another one of those project machines that Russia loves since, well, they didn't build too many battleships when it came to it. They got a few which kind of got there, which is basically what the Sovetsky is, along with a few of the others at the higher echelons, but this one will have a pretty strong armament and also pretty strong hull armor too, which is what it was designed to do. Not exactly built for, but designed for, and that's what matters. Alright, let's get into the history of this machine, and as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe, and also like the video. Let's get started. In the mid-1930s, the Soviet Union began work on an ambitious program to create a new and powerful fleet, with the centerpiece being given to the construction of a new generation of battleships. This new program envisaged the construction of 8 Project 23 Sovetsky Soyuz class battleships with 406mm guns by 1943. Stalin himself personally attached particular importance to the project, viewing a powerful battleship fleet as an important attribute of great power and an instrument of international influence. The first 4 ships were planned to be laid down in 1937, so that they could be introduced into the fleet by 1941. However, the implementation of such a large-scale program encountered enormous issues from the very beginning. Although 4 ships were laid down before the start of the war, Sovetsky Soyuz in Leningrad, Sovetskaya Ukraina in Nikolaev, the Sovetskaya Belorussia, and also Sovetskaya Rossiya in Molotovsk, their construction was constantly behind schedule. The main problems were severe delays in the delivery of high-quality steel, a shortage of skilled workers, difficulties in overcoming challenges related to new technology, and also a constant adjustment to the program. By June of 1941, the technical readiness of the Sovetsky Soyuz, which was the lead ship, was only at 21%, and was at even less for the others. The outbreak of war put an end to this very ambitious program, and in July of 1941, by decree of the State Defense Committee, the construction of all battleships was stopped, and their hulls were subsequently dismantled for scrap metal. So the Soviets get another project battleship, which shouldn't really be a surprise looking at their history. I think the more surprising thing is the fact that when it comes to Russia, and also when it comes to Italy and other areas, even Germany, they get project ships which were never built, but for some reason stuff like the R2Y2, the Panther II, and the Tiger II-105, and all of these types of things have to be removed because they're ahistorical. It's just odd how naval just gets treated so differently, and Gadget has talked about this in the past why this is, because they believe that they have to add these things in order for these nations to be competitive, but as I've said many times, not every nation needs a top tier technically. It would actually be quite nice if certain nations finished at specific BRs, so therefore you could actually just enjoy the realistic machines or not have constant flowing contradictions when it comes to what is added to WarThunder, what is removed from WarThunder, and also where they're added as well. All the Project 23 ships were set to receive the 406mm guns, which are the 16-inch guns. The Sovetsky Soyuz itself has basically 3 triple mounts of this, so 9 guns of it. And basically, it has a semi-armor piercing shell. This has high armor piercing values and an explosive charge of 88 kilos, which is pretty nuts. It also just has standard armor piercing rounds, which will be able to basically go through anything, which makes this machine, at least it will be good enough at its BR. You know, this is going to be the top BR vehicle. Hopefully they decompress some naval, so, these things don't just annihilate everything else. For secondary weapons, this thing has 6 152mm turrets and 2 guns each, so basically just dual mounts, 12 overall, and then it also has 4 100mm turrets with 2 guns each too. So dual mounted 100mm, dual mounted 152s, to have a bit of fun with. Also, with the AA complement, it has a bunch of 37mm on it. There's a total of 8 of them, of the turrets with 4 guns each. So basically you have quad-mounted 37s with a lot of firepower. So not as much AA as other battleships, but let's be honest, like, because of all the battleships that are here and also the ones that are coming, it's going to be very hard for planes to get even close to these vehicles. The great thing also about building a fake vehicle is you can basically just give it all the fake stats that you want. So the average protection of this vehicle is 375mm, with the 420mm armor values around the main turrets that were never finished. So basically this thing is going to have some of the best armor in the game, even though it was never finished. Also, it has a 25mm thick anti-splinter armor deck, which is the main armor deck, and then that gets up to 155mm. So it's basically going to have a lot of protection on this vehicle. Another thing that's kind of funny about Soviet vehicles is they sit really low in the water. So basically actually aiming into them and hitting the ammo racks is quite hard to do. This is something you may have noticed with some of their First World War designs, where they're incredibly low to the sea. It also meant that they were kind of unbalanced when they were flying around, but at the same time, it was at least increased protection. So this thing is bulky, it has a lot of armor on it, it has some big old guns, you know, the 16 inches are not small. The issue is the speed. So, and by, you know, issue, I mean, it's the same as everything else. But when it comes, in terms of battleships, right, and this is the problem when it comes to War Thunder and also just comes to naval forces, this thing is like seen as slow, right? It still goes 28 knots. Like, it still goes basically the same speed as the French battleship that we talked about yesterday. It still goes 52 kilometers an hour, which is obviously not a slow machine, right? So it's kind of ridiculous when it comes to it. I feel like in naval, there are so many slight differences between these vehicles, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much, especially with the speed, because, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to go quicker to a capture point and then just get blown up by something? No, you're going to use your hydroplane, which, by the way, this thing is going to have, because if you have a look at the back of it, it actually has a little launcher for it, so you'll be able to capture zones, which is quite nice. It also says in the devlog itself, although only the best battleships in the game, including those we'll announce later, winky face, can pose a real threat to the Sovetsky Soyuz. The slightest mistake in a duel can be fatal. The Soyuz should be played with low mobility and not that impressive short-range AA in mind. So, I would like a petition. Could we have a petition, please? Could the petition be, can any other nation apart from Russia get stupidly overpowered broken machines that never existed, or is this just a Russian thing? Can we only get these things? Because I remember when the Kronstadt was added, that was hilarious. But could we please start spreading out the joy? If we're going to have stupid machines that were never built because they were massively overpromised, underproduced, and they didn't have the technical know-how to make them, so therefore they're allowed to be represented in game in the most ridiculous way possible that they never would have actually been built with in real life because of how stupid the ideas were, could we please have that given to other nations? There are plenty of other projects that other nations worked on or designed that were ridiculously stupid as well, and failed trials or failed prototypes, or just were so insane in terms of what they were designed to do. Could we please have those machines too? Because it's very annoying that we keep actually just keeping them for one nation, because it's showing how stupid this whole thing is, okay? The fact that you're allowed to put a fake ship in the game, which has the 16-inch guns, which will have some of the best firepower in the game, has some of, if not the best armor in the game, and also, you know, the weakness of it is it's basically the same as everything else. Why not just do that for everybody else? Why can't we just have lunacy across the board? Why is this lunacy only allowed in one tech tree? I pray to you, please, just push it across the board. Add in all of the stupid machines that every other nation worked on that also were completely unrealistic and unfathomable at the time when they were building them. Because then we might start to actually have some fun times instead of having to watch which Russian ship at this time is going to perform in a most ridiculous way possible because they've decided to give it the best specifications that it never would have existed with in real life. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecovo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, WarThunder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.